Hello everyone, it's almost the end of the year, and after making so many roguelike lists, I think it's time for a big one. The best new action roguelike and roguelite games of the year 2025 edition. Well, let's get into the list. Hellclock is an action RPG roguelite, so yeah, you'll feel some Diablo vibes right away. Dark towns, creepy dungeons, that classic everything is cursed mood, but instead of feeling like a Diablo copy, it has this handmade, passionate energy behind it. It's fast, stylish, and just wants you to have fun, not spend your whole life grinding. What makes it even more interesting is the story. It's set after a real historical tragedy in Brazil, which gives the game a strong revenge theme. And when the game hits its emotional moments, it hits hard. But at its core, Hellclock is all about fast builds, crazy combos, and feeling powerful. It's a lot like Hades, technical enough to tinker with, but still easy to enjoy. Abyssus is a roguelite first-person shooter from Double Moose Games and the Arcade Crew. The whole thing takes place deep under the ocean, inside a massive, mysterious temple. Structurally, it feels similar to Gunfire Reborn. The world mixes Cthulhu-style horror with retro-futuristic underwater design. Some enemies even gave me Destiny vibes. It's a lot of influences, but surprisingly, it works. The game starts a bit slow because new weapons unlock slowly, but once it picks up, the loop becomes addictive. You keep earning new guns, cosmetics, and magical shards that boost your stats. Between runs, you return to a cool base filled with shipwrecks and submarines, prep your gear, then hop into a giant diving bell to start your next dive.
Still taking up the challenge.
After 7 long years, the sequel to a beloved indie classic is finally here, Moonlighter II: The Endless Vault. It may not have had the same loud hype as Silksong, but the first Moonlighter was a huge indie hit with a unique idea, a roguelite dungeon crawler mixed with running your own shop. And now, the formula is back with a bigger, crazier twist. The gameplay loop is simple. At night, you jump into new worlds, battle aliens, robots, witches, and grab as much treasure as you can before your bag overflows. Then during the day, you open your shop, sell everything, and upgrade your gear, potions, shop decorations, and more. But Moonlighter 2 adds a whole new twist. The game is now fully 3D with a big isometric world.
New friends and enemies, and the mysterious Endless Vault. Who knows what happens when it fills to the brim?
Nunholy is a wild, bloody roguelike that mixes bullet hell action, anime-style characters, and a whole lot of chaos. You play as one of 3 vampire girls, each with their own skills and playstyle, and they don't just look different, they fight differently too. The game throws you into dark gothic arenas where enemies come at you nonstop, and every run is all about surviving waves, grabbing upgrades, and trying to reach the next boss. One thing that stands out is the world building. Even though this is an arena roguelike, the game still gives you funny, strange, and sometimes creepy side characters. You meet a quiet nun who helps you heal, a garlic-obsessed merchant who sells vampire-slaying tools, and other NPCs you can build affinity with by giving gifts. These interactions give you bonuses and make each run feel a bit more connected. Absolum is basically a classic beat-em-up turned into a roguelike, and honestly, it fits perfectly. Beat-em-ups were born in arcades, designed to be replayed non-stop, hard enough to challenge you, and fun enough to make you want to try again. Absolum takes that old-school loop and mixes it with modern upgrades, making every run feel exciting. The game comes from the team behind Streets of Rage 4, so it's no surprise the combat feels great. This isn't a button masher. The combat is tight, precise, and full of options. You dodge, parry, build combos, and manage crowds like a real fighting game. Then you mix in roguelike upgrades, trinkets that boost counter damage, rewards for clean dodges, and tons of skills that build your character each run.
Put an early end to your missions of the Sun King, who dare stand in your path. According to your faith.
Gatekeeper is one of those roguelites that almost nobody talks about, but honestly, it deserves way more attention. It first came out in early access back in 2024, and even after the full release, it's still pretty quiet, which is a shame because the game is actually really good. It's a top-down sci-fi roguelite shooter that mixes the fast chaos of Risk of Rain 2, the perspective of Diablo, and the non-stop pressure of a bullet hell. You play as a gatekeeper, protecting this ancient cosmic relic while fighting off waves of enemies across different planets. The story is simple, but that's fine. The real star here is the gameplay. The moment you jump into a mission, things get crazy fast. Enemies come from everywhere, your screen fills with shots and explosions, and you're constantly dashing, shooting, and trying to survive. The Rogue Prince of Persia is a 2D side-scrolling action roguelite made by Evil Empire, the same studio that worked on Dead Cells. So if things feel familiar, that's why. The game absolutely nails the classic Prince of Persia vibe when it comes to platforming. The movement is fast and fluid, and once you get into the rhythm, every run feels energetic and fun. But for me, the Rogue Prince of Persia doesn't quite reach the same level as The Lost Crown, another new Prince of Persia game that came out last year. Even so, it's still a strong spin-off that keeps the heart of the series alive. The platforming is amazing, the combat feels good, and moving around the world is just pure fun. Vellum is a 3D action roguelite that mixes ideas from different games, but the result feels unique. You're floating around the arena, blasting spells, dodging hits, and building your own spellbook as you go. What I like the most is that the game doesn't force you into one build. It gives you options, and you decide what to risk during each run. Sometimes it works out, sometimes not so much, but that's the fun. Each run is a short campaign called a tome, inspired by different books with missions leading up to a boss fight. You can even choose how your enemies get stronger, which creates these cool, unexpected moments where things either go perfectly or go completely off the rails. And since each run only takes about 20 to 30 minutes, it never feels like a huge time commitment. Sworn is an Arthurian action roguelite from Windwalk Games, and yeah, the gameplay loop, the room structure, the powers, it all feels familiar with Hades. But don't write it off just yet. The game actually has a lot going for it. First, it's fun. Second, it's out right now on PS5, Xbox Series, and Game Pass, places where Hades 2 isn't available yet. And third, the setting is cool. Instead of Greek gods, you get Merlin, Fey gods, and the Knights of the Round Table. But the biggest difference, Sworn has 4-player co-op. Outside of co-op, Sworn has its own identity too. Instead of one protagonist, you get 4 different classes. Each class has its own weapons, spells, and upgrades, and you unlock more options the more you play. It's fun experimenting with builds, especially when you find powers from the Fey gods that match your style. Right now is honestly one of the best times to be into roguelite shooters. There are so many good ones dropping lately, and people keep asking, which is better, Abyssus or Deadzone Rogue? But for me, the answer is simple. They're both fun, and they each do their own thing really well. Deadzone Rogue takes a more serious tone. Instead of goofy humor, you get a dark sci-fi setting with horror vibes. Exploring the ship feels a bit like walking through the Ishimura from Dead Space, tight corridors, creepy enemies, but the gameplay is way more action-focused. Think fast fights, big rooms full of monsters, and gunplay that feels closer to Killing Floor, mixed with roguelite upgrades like Gunfire Reborn or RoboQuest. Heroes of Hammerwatch II is a roguelite action RPG that mixes dungeon crawling, town building, tons of customization, and, of course, permadeath. And the loop is crazy addictive. You will pick one of 7 classes, Paladin, Warrior, Rogue, Ranger, Warlock, Sorcerer, or Wizard, and jump into randomly generated dungeons. Every run gives you new upgrades, items, and power-ups to help you survive just a little longer. Every dungeon gets harder as you go deeper. On the way, you collect materials to upgrade your town. New buildings unlock better gear, more potions, and stronger stats. finishing a run, going back home, building something new, and then diving right back into danger, that loop never gets old. Your character grows, your town grows, and every run feels better than the last. After more than a year in early access, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor is finally launching properly. A lot of Survivor-like feel like quick copy-paste projects, but this one doesn't feel that way at all. The devs built it from scratch, and you can feel the quality right away. If you already know Deep Rock Galactic, you'll also feel right at home. It has the same idea: replayable missions, procedurally generated caves, and that just one more run energy. The Survivor-like element takes that formula and switches the perspective, adds new ideas, and turns it into a fast, chaotic roguelite. Honestly, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor is one of the best Vampire Survivors clone. Ratatan feels very much like a continuation of the Patapon legacy. If you remember Patapon on the PSP, that cute rhythm game where you command tiny warriors using drum beats, that's exactly what Ratatan is. You still command a group of tiny singing buddies with rhythm inputs, everything speaks a cute musical language, and the whole game is bursting with charm. But it also pushes things further, this time with procedural stages, randomized rewards, and a full roguelite loop. And yes, you can bring friends. Up to 3 players can jump in, upgrade together, and head into a run. Having 3 people shouting musical commands at the same time is exactly as chaotic as it sounds, but also pretty hilarious. Whenever I feel like I'm getting tired of roguelikes, a new one somehow pulls me back in. Last year, it was Balatro, and now it's a little game called Haste. So what is Haste? Think of a super fast 3D platformer where every level is randomly generated. Your goal is simple: reach the finish line as fast as possible while a deadly mist chases you from behind. You run, you jump, you use power-ups, and you try to land smoothly, because perfect landings charge your hoverboard, and jumping onto that hoverboard at the right moment feels amazing. The game does have a story, but I'll be honest, I skipped most of it, and this game shines the most when it keeps you moving. Haste is all about speed, momentum, and flow. Furthermore, at the end of each run, you even get a boss fight, and just like the levels, these fights get wild, but they're never frustrating. Megabonk is an auto-shooter roguelike from Vedanad where you run around blasting goblins, skeletons, and giant monsters. On the surface, it works a lot like Vampire Survivors. Your character auto-attacks, you fight endless waves of enemies, and you pick weapons and upgrades to build your perfect run. But Megabonk isn't just a copy. The dev added a bunch of structural changes that make it feel fresh, and honestly, stand out in a crowded genre. First, the game is tough. The runs are short either because you finish them, or because you die horribly. Even though your attacks fire on their own, you still need skill, especially with special abilities that you aim or time yourself. On top of that, there are tons of weapons, tomes, and pickups to build your runs. But winning isn't guaranteed. The enemies have tricks, the bosses hit hard, and the difficulty modifiers can make things even crazier. Jump Space might be one of the smoothest sci-fi roguelike games I've ever played. And the crazy part? It's an indie game. Just look at the game's graphic. This is a co-op PvE shooter where you and your friends run a spaceship together. You go on missions, gather resources, repair the ship, fight enemies, and basically live out your own chaotic sci-fi adventure. And honestly, I could have sat there playing all day. Whether you're piloting the ship, fixing broken systems, manning the turrets, collecting supplies, or even jumping out in zero gravity to fight enemies alone, every role feels important. Every job makes you feel like you're helping your team survive. You don't pick a class, you just react to whatever happens. Fire breaks out, someone puts it out. Weapons need reloading, someone runs over to do it. Ship needs repairing, get to it. It's all about communication and swapping roles on the fly. Mortal Sin is a brutal first-person action roguelite with fast, messy, in-your-face combat. Now let's talk about the visuals, because you can't ignore them. Mortal Sin has some of the boldest, most colorful, most extreme visuals I've seen in a roguelite. Love it or hate it, it's definitely unique. Once you get into a fight, the game shows its true strength. The combat feels great. You can use swords, guns, magic, and more, and everything hits differently. You move fast, but the world is dangerous. Enemies can appear anywhere, traps are everywhere, and if you get cornered, you're basically done. Because of that, your playstyle naturally shifts from rushing in to being smart and careful. Roguelikes are everywhere these days. Usually, the early game is the worst part. You start weak, you die fast, and most runs end before they even begin. But recently, some roguelikes are getting better at making the early game fun. Shape of Dreams is a great example. In this game, you play as one of 8 travelers, and your mission is simple. Move through a world called the Rapids and defeat the final boss, the First Dreamer. This game is all about combat, fast, colorful, and very fun. Each character gets up to 4 memories, which are basically your special attacks or spells. You can also add augments that boost them, and since there are over 100 memories in the game, every run feels different. All in all, Shape of Dreams is an amazing roguelike. It comes close to the level of Hades, but it still has its own identity. Escape from Duckov is a single-player, top-down extraction shooter roguelite made by Team Soda and published by Bilibili. As the name suggests, it's basically a funny, offline parody of Escape from Tarkov, but instead of angry mercenaries, you're fighting ducks. Yes, ducks with guns. You start in the city of Duckov, which is going through some kind of disaster. You're a prisoner, but one duck helps you break out, and in return you have to run missions, shoot enemies, grab loot, and try to escape the city with your feathers still attached. Your goal is simple. Loot, fight, finish missions, then extract safely. If you've played Tarkov, this will feel familiar. And just because everything looks cute doesn't mean the game goes easy on you. Step into the wrong enemy's aim, and you're toast in seconds. Hades 1 came out in 2020 and quickly became one of the best roguelikes ever made. So the fact that Hades 2 manages to beat it, that alone says a lot. Supergiant Games took everything that worked, refined the formula, and pushed it even further. The combat is deeper but still super easy to understand, and the story feels bigger, more exciting, and way more dramatic. If you're new to the series, the Hades games are action roguelikes where every run gives you new upgrades called boons. These boons slowly turn your character into a monster-slaying machine, and when you die, which happens a lot, you go back home, talk to characters, unlock new story bits, and upgrade your skills. It's a simple loop, but it's brilliant. Losing never feels like a punishment, it feels like progress.
This is it.
That's all for today's list. Subscribe and like for more exciting new roguelike and roguelite games. That's it, and see you next time.